Well, how fun was that?
Wasn't that great?
Wow,
That was
how'd
just
you get
awesome.
over here so fast?
The magic of television.
The magic of television.
Yep.
I'm telling you what, the Nash Pack people and our very own Curtis Reed right here with the
Thank
Nash
you.
Pack.
Thank
And
you.
also Ricky Lynne. And you are the one who came up with the idea for the Nash Pack, is that right?
Yes.
It's a brand new group.
With a little bit of help of some other people.
With a
but-
little help from your friends.
Right.
That should be a song.
I think it is.
Really?
Beatles.
Awesome. So how did the idea for this group come about?
Well, I've been booking local entertainment for quite a while now. And so
Through the Sabre Entertainment Group.
Through my company, Sabre Entertainment,
okay.
yes. And through that, you tend to get an idea of what each location is looking for
Sure.
and style of entertainment and what's lacking and what the general public wants to hear and see.
Yeah.
And so I was meeting with a friend and a owner of a location called Venue 10.
Okay.
And he had just opened actually one location in Spring Hill and was telling me how much he was interested in having such a variety of entertainment
different
at his
entertainment.
restaurant. Yeah. And of course, I certainly like that idea because I come from a theater and a music background, and I work with such a variety of artists anyway. I really focus on trying to make sure the artists that I work with, that I have a wide variety so that I can please everybody across the board.
Well, what kind of artists do you have with Sabre Entertainment?
Well, I have a mix, as far as music goes, I have a mix of, blues and a couple of rock bands. I've got a rock band that's originally from Australia, and I also have a jive band that I do booking for. I had recently worked with a trio act that had just gotten the record deal, and I also work with some comedians, and I work with some theater groups as well as dinner theater group, Mel Rohde and Melodrama. So I do a lot of booking for a variety of.
She's the woman to know. That's what you are.
Well, I certainly have
to know.
If you're looking for entertainment, I probably have some of the niche somewhere in the groups that I work with.
And I know, Curtis, you're into musical theater anyway. So how did you guys? And you're new to town. So how did you guys get to know each other? And
well,
start
funny
this
thing
Nash
is,
Pack thing?
Ricky had mentioned that she is also involved with Mel Rohde and Melodrama Theater, and
from
that
our
is
last show.
Exactly, and that is how Ricky and I met. And the rest is Nash Pack history.
Nash Pack history. And now this group is based off of a group that was from the 60s, is that right?
Well, the original Rat Pack, yeah, it was during the 60s. Really check my memory here, it was Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin and
Sammy Davis Jr.
Thank you.
Which
Sammy,
one
I started to say
Curtis?
Jerry Lewis, but
Of
it's
all
Sammy Davis
those.
Jr. And so really the idea came about because, a lot of times we go into the local nightclubs and, you might have a really great act. Of course, this is Music City, but a lot of times it's just a band that's kind of playing in the background. And I also have a degree in musical theater. And so I've always had an interest in theater and music both, and pursued both of those careers actually myself. And so the idea of finding something that kind of teeters in the middle of all that.
Yeah.
I think Nashville is ready for that type of entertainment, even in the nightclub or restaurant scene. And so once those ideas started coming into mind, then it just went crazy. And the idea basically was to not really do an impersonation or necessarily a tribute to their original Rat Pack, but to come up with a Nashville's very own modern day type Rat Pack.
Yes, and
where
Nashville's good for that kind of flavor of something new mixed with something old.
Right.
Exactly. And so I really wanted to not only interest the people that do remember the original Rat Pack, but also the younger generation, and kind of find nice creative way to mix the two.
Sure.
And
you're
then, of course,
looking for
was
bookings.
lucky enough to find
This nice man. So I'm sure you're looking for bookings for the Nash Pack. They're a brand
We
new
are.
group. So if you're a venue and you want to book it, how do you do that?
You can contact me through my company. I do have a website online. It's sabremusicentertainment.com, and that is spelled S-A-B-R-E.
Right.
All right.
Musicentertainment.com.
S-A-B-R-E. That's
And
fantastic.
and actually, I don't have the Nash Pack listed up there yet, but they will be soon.
But they'll be coming.
is how
for
new we
Nash,
are.
That Nash Pack or anyone else, that's fantastic. And if someone wants to purchase tickets, do they go to the same website or how do they get those?
Well, it's going to depend on the venue that they're booked at.
Okay.
They most likely will not purchase tickets through my website. I do have that availability, but most of the time that's probably not going to be the case. And probably what they'll need to do in most cases is just contact the venue and either purchase their tickets directly through them
Through
or
the
at least
venue.
make reservations. I know that the 2 dates that we have for sure set for in Nashville, it's a matter of calling, making your reservation,
Yes.
and then you will be charged your ticket price at the door when you come.
That's
see the show.
fantastic. Excellent.
Well, you know, you mentioned earlier that you yourself had a career in music and theater, and I know that you have released a few CDs. You've traveled nationally,
Very
and I
nice.
want to know: is there any memorable moments on the road for you that just stand out?
Oh, well, probably some that I really shouldn't say. It's definitely not as glamorous
those.
as people that aren't in the business think
Probably
it is.
not.
Right.
No.
There
Time
there
on
were
set is a
there-
lot of waiting.
Yeah, and
like
there
that.
was a lot of questions as to, was there going to be a room or a bed to sleep in that night, that kind of situation. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely a worldly experience and in most cases a good experience. Going on the road like that. I was on the road for 3 years straight and traveled and performed actually in every single one of the United States. And so that was
Great.
lots of
So
fun.
you were a performer, and now she is the brains and the money, the power woman in Nashville.
That she
the
is.
woman to know.
She also has a very unique hobby, or I can even say passion, which I find fascinating myself, and that is Soul Searchers, which is sort of a ghost hunters show, but with a special twist. Can you
Woo.
tell us a little bit about that too?
Sure. I've been doing a lot more film work in the last couple years,
Okay.
and so decided to put together a crew of film producers that I'm working with, and we are filming and doing a pilot that will hopefully end up at least being aired in local television stations. And what it is that if you live especially in the Williamson County area, there's tons of history and
There is
historical
tons
locations.
of history, absolutely. Everywhere
Right.
you turn, there is.
And
yes.
and so what we're doing is we're finding those locations, those historical locations. We're going in and we're interviewing. Usually it's the caretaker of that property who has tons of information, and so it's kind of going to be a historical special mixed with a paranormal ghost hunting thing in the tail end of it, because typically when you're talking about that much history, then you start to run into some ghost stories as well.
Absolutely.
And
We've heard a few, yes.
Yeah.
in the area.
And it turns out that the film crew that I'm specifically using for this series, we all have a great deal of past experiences and paranormal experiences.
So that would be very interesting.
Yeah, so we're hoping that that we'll be able to get that show out and about for people to see, and I'm sure if we can, then it's also going to include tons of popular historical locations that people have seen around Williamson County.
That
Excellent.
sounds great.
And for the skeptics out there, I know there are a few. You do have, he's a local firefighter, right? Who goes in
Yes.
and helps debunk if there's anything to debunk or come up with a logical explanation if there is one.
Right, that's
Okay.
correct. He works for the Spring Hill Fire Department, and I met him when I worked on another film project called the Fire Bell Project, and that's located in Spring Hill. And it turned out that he did very well on camera, and he'd never had any experience with that before. But it turned out that
sometimes
he was
Sometimes they're just people who are natural.
he was definitely just a natural on film. So that combined with the fact that the job that he does, they have to have at least some type of training on a regular basis as far as constructural training.
Right.
Okay.
And so he'll come in with us, and if there's some type of stories or red flags about that pertain to the construction of the property that might be causing somebody to think that there's something paranormal, he can come in and explain things away, such as those, and debunk it. So,
Oh, so it'll be interesting for both sides.
right,
Right.
exactly.
Very interesting. So let's say that I am a new performer in town, a singer, songwriter, actor. What recommendations would you give me?
Well, I recommend that you come to my company.
Ooh,
Absolutely.
give
Because
her a call.
well, I came into town something like 20 years ago.
Just 20 years ago.
Yeah, came into town
Yes.
looking for that same thing.
Yeah.
And so I've lived all that, and I have a lot of past knowledge, experience with all of that, and believe it or not, even some of the same connections, because a lot of people, when they come to Nashville, they decide to stay here.
They do.
And so a lot of those connections that I made, even as far as 20 years ago, they're still involved in the music industry, and
Sure.
I'm still friends with them and stay in touch with them. But
And it is a transplant area. We were talking about that, about how
Absolutely,
people from
yeah.
different parts of the country and even the world come here. And Absolutely.
And so, so I guess the main thing is that I have learned, that I'll say, is to stay true to yourself. And if you really want to do this, then don't give up, because that's
give up.
what it takes.
That's fantastic
It
advice.
takes gusto.
Gusto. Thank you, Ricky. That's fantastic. And it's really nice to have you on the show today
Well, I really
Sure,
appreciate
appreciate
you
you
guys
coming.
having me out.
and bringing this talent.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
I
stop.
feel lucky that I've got him in this group as well. So
Wonderful voice.
Well, I
Yes.
certainly have an absolute blast with Nash Pack. I absolutely love the other two gentlemen with me, who are Sheldon Kahan and Bakari King. They are phenomenal performers, big names in Nashville. I mean, at least to me, the newbie who just
Yeah.
came into town.
Yeah,
Bakari
that's fantastic.
is involved with so much regional and community theater here. Sheldon is a
I'm
performer
sure that
himself.
most of the people have seen him somewhere in one performance or another.
Familiar faces.
If they're
Right.
going out
Familiar
and
and new
watching
faces.
shows, then they've seen them at some point in time.
Yes.
Well, we thank you so much for being on the show,
Yes,
and
thank you, Ricky.
thank
Thank
you
you.
for finding me.
And for all the
And
fun.
so we
Yes.
hope to have you back. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
great
you
to
very
miss
much.
And Sabre Music Entertainment.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. We'll look for them online, and they will be on our website too. Thank you for watching this interview from Music City Corner. You can view more interviews and performances by clicking right here to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Also, be sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Instagram, and of course, MusicCityCorner.com.